Imagine a time when warriors clashed on battlefields with shields and swords, their survival resting on the edge of their blades. Among them stood the Vikings, fierce, fearless, and surprisingly innovative. But their most iconic weapon, the sword, was far more than just a tool of war. These blades were marvels of engineering, designed with techniques that modern science is still trying to fully understand. Today we'll uncover the secrets behind Viking swords and why they were centuries ahead of their time. By the end, you'll see these ancient weapons in an entirely new light. For the Vikings, a sword was more than just a weapon. It was a symbol of status, power, and legacy. Owning a sword was a rare privilege, reserved for the wealthiest or most elite warriors. Viking swords were so valuable that they were often named, like family members, and passed down through generations. Some were even buried with their owners to accompany them in the afterlife. The intricate designs on Viking swords weren't just decorative, they told stories. Patterns of wolves, serpents, and mythological figures symbolized protection, strength, and divine favor. But these swords weren't just about appearances. Their true brilliance lay in their construction, with techniques that far surpassed the tools and knowledge of their time. Among all Viking swords, none are more famous or more mysterious than the Ulfberht swords. These legendary blades were the pinnacle of Viking craftsmanship, earning a reputation as the Ferraris of their era. The Ulfberht swords were forged from crucible steel, a material so pure it wouldn't become common in Europe until 800 years later. This made them lighter, sharper, and far more durable than the average sword. The name plus Ulfberht plus T was engraved on these swords as a mark of authenticity. But out of the 170 Ulfberht swords discovered, many were fakes, crafted by blacksmiths trying to capitalize on their fame. The real mystery, though, is how the Vikings acquired the crucible steel needed to make these swords. Did they trade for it, or did they somehow learn the techniques themselves? The answer takes us far beyond Scandinavia. To appreciate just how advanced Viking swords were, let's look at the science behind their construction. Creating a blade that could withstand the rigors of battle required incredible precision, and the Vikings delivered. Crucible steel, used in the best Viking swords, had a carbon content of up to 1.2%. This gave the blades unmatched strength and flexibility, allowing them to bend without breaking. The technique of pattern welding was another Viking innovation. By twisting strips of iron and steel together, blacksmiths created blades that were not only strong but also featured stunning, rippling patterns. This combination of art and engineering made Viking swords as functional as they were beautiful. And these techniques were so effective that they're still used by modern swordsmiths today. Now, here's a twist you might not expect. The Vikings weren't just raiders, they were traders who connected Europe to the rest of the world. And this might explain the origins of their advanced steel. Interesting fact 7. Trade routes established by the Vikings stretched from the icy shores of Scandinavia to the bustling markets of the Islamic world. They exchanged furs, amber, and slaves for exotic goods, including high-quality steel. Interesting fact 8. Archaeological evidence shows that Vikings likely imported crucible steel from Persia or India, where advanced metallurgy had been practiced for centuries. This suggests the Vikings were part of a global network of innovation. In essence, Viking swords weren't just products of Scandinavian ingenuity, they were a testament to the power of cultural exchange. Hollywood loves to portray Viking swords as indestructible, slicing through armor and shields with ease. But how much of this is true? Authentic Viking swords were incredibly well made, but they weren't invincible. Even the best blades could chip, bend, or break if not properly maintained. However, their balance and craftsmanship were revolutionary for their time. Unlike many medieval swords, Viking blades were designed to be light and agile, giving warriors an edge in combat. So, while Viking swords weren't magical, they were undeniably ahead of their time. Behind every Viking sword was a blacksmith, a master craftsman who turned raw materials into objects of power and beauty. These individuals held a revered place in Viking society. Blacksmiths were often seen as mystical figures, with the ability to tame fire and transform earth into steel. Their work was considered a blend of science, art, and magic. Some swords even bore inscriptions of prayers or protective spells, suggesting that blacksmiths saw their work as more than just functional, it was spiritual. The legacy of these blacksmiths lives on in every Viking sword, reminding us of the creativity and ingenuity of these ancient craftsmen. Viking swords aren't just historical artifacts. They're a source of inspiration. Their craftsmanship and innovation hold valuable lessons for us today. Modern scientists study Viking swords to understand ancient forging techniques, which could inspire new ways to create stronger, more sustainable materials. The Vikings' ability to blend art and science in their swords is a reminder that innovation often comes from thinking outside the box and collaborating across cultures. In many ways, Viking swords symbolize the timeless human pursuit of excellence. They challenge us to push the boundaries of what's possible. What is it about Viking swords that continues to capture our imagination? Perhaps it's their dual nature, both brutal and beautiful, functional and artistic. The discovery of Ulfberht swords has sparked debates among historians and metallurgists, showing how one artifact can reshape our understanding of an entire era. From films and TV shows to video games, Viking swords remain a symbol of strength, innovation, and mystery. But their true stories are even more fascinating than fiction. Ultimately, Viking swords remind us that history is more than just dates and events. It's the story of people, their struggles, and their triumphs. And that's the story of Viking swords, more advanced than we ever imagined. What do you think? Could we still learn from their techniques today? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more fascinating stories from Infinitia Verity. Until next time, stay curious.